In Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer, you are part of an Apex team, the best of the best the Nexus has to offer. While not a regular group of soldiers, they are nonetheless talented individuals that take on the most dangerous and important missions in this new galaxy. In this series, we are going to take a look at the various class builds for the various characters in the game's multiplayer. So with that in mind, I'm Darcblade, and let's take a look at the next Mass Effect Andromeda Multiplayer character, the Krogan Vanguard. As always, remember that these builds are aimed at the harder difficulties in the game and focus on level 20 rank 10 characters, although there will be advice for lower ranked characters later on in the video. The Krogan Vanguard bears many similarities to the Mass Effect 3 version of this class, the Krogan Battlemaster. It comes with Charge or Biotic Charge, it comes with Fortify that replaces Barrier, but finally instead of Carnage it comes with Nova, which is also found on the Human Vanguard. However, all of these abilities combined with Apex training and Rage passives makes him one of the best melee characters in the game, and with recent changes to the Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, this melee build is stronger than ever for this character. So with that, I spec the Krogan Vanguard as follows. I first take Charge, going up to rank 6, putting points into Bastion over Shock Trooper. Bastion will ensure that Biotic Charge gives all my shields back when I charge an enemy. On top of that, it increases its damage and gives me a small amount of damage resistance. This makes Charge a vital survivability tool as well as traversal tool. Recharge speed is also good, but given your other defensive capabilities and the defensive bonuses Bastion provides, it's not worth it. Next, with rank 5, I put points into weapon and melee to increase my melee damage for 3 seconds after charging over power synergy. This is because, like I said, I am focused in this class as a melee class because of the awesome Rage passive the Krogan Vanguard has. And finally, with rank 4, I put points into Radius over Damage and Force. I take this to stagger multiple opponents when they are close to one another, allowing for a little respite against an enemy assault. Next, with Fortify, I go up to rank 5, putting points into Power Armor over Shield Feedback. Power Armor grants a nice 30% melee attack bonus whilst Fortify is active, making it the better option when compared to Shield Feedback. With rank 4, I put points into Protection over Mobility. This is solely to increase the damage resistance that Fortify will provide the Krogan Vanguard. And besides, most of the time when you need to get to A to B quickly, you can charge an opponent to get at their location ASAP. Rank 6, a move in Defense, and Explosive Purge I don't feel is really needed. Explosive Purge is okay, but it seems a bit clunky to be effective, and a move in defense, well, you need to get to opponents quickly to melee them with this character, so it's not worth it. Now with Nova, I go up to rank 3 in Nova, simply to spend spare points, and whilst Nova is a good ability, especially when it comes to providing AoE damage as well as invincibility frames, I've opted for points elsewhere. If you did want to max out Nova though, I would take rank 6 Seismic Nova. Rank 5 doesn't really matter, although I'd probably take Anti-Shield, and finally with rank 4 I would put points into Damage and Force. Next, moving on to Apex training. I maxed this out going up to rank 6, putting points into Power Specialist over Weapon Specialist. This is really down to personal preference, to be honest. You could even drop this altogether and put it into, say, Nova, but I took Power Specialist to increase the damage of Nova and Charge, as well as allow me to take heavier weaponry into battle. Next, with rank 5, I put points into Ammo and Targeting over Aerial Combat Training, simply because the Krogans are not very good at fighting in the air anyway. And then finally with rank 4, I put points into Power and Melee over Weapons Training. Finally, with the last passive, Rage. Now, they've changed Rage since the last Krogan guide I did. Rage now triggers on any type of kill as long as it's within 10 meters of you. So it doesn't have to be specifically limited to melee kills. However, the Rage tree still benefits melee users such as the Krogan Vanguard. With that, I go up to rank 6, putting points into Berserker over Inspirational. This is to increase my melee damage, Rage duration, as well as limit the amount of kills needed to trigger Rage, as well as that nice bonus that triggers Rage when I drop below 33% health. Next, with rank 5, I put points into Martial Artist over Unstoppable, although to be honest, these are both down to personal preference. Martial Artist ensures that your melee damage will be at its maximum when needed, whilst Unstoppable provides you extra damage resistance. You'll notice that this has changed from the last Krogan guide I did, as there was a talent to restore your health, but now that is available in the first point of Rage. So just having 1 point in Rage will allow you to restore your health as long as you can trigger the passive. And finally, with rank 4, I put points into Melee over Resilience. This is to increase my melee damage even further. As for weaponry, go with something that's good at close range like a shotgun, and maybe take a backup weapon that works at longer ranges should you have to do objective rounds like hack or upload where you need to stay in one place. Also, try to keep that 100% recharge speed rate when it comes to your weaponry, although with the Krogan Vanguard it's not hard considering he can carry a lot more weaponry into battle. As for gear, take something to increase your melee damage, or failing that, survivability. Now moving on to the heart of the episode to talk about the moves and abilities available to the Krogan Vanguard. Its first move is Charge, formerly known as Biotic Charge. Once used, this ability allows the Krogan Vanguard to alter his mass and then launch himself at an opponent. It's basically turning you into a very, very fast moving projectile. As long as there's nothing blocking your way, if you can highlight a target, you'll be able to charge into them. When you hit, you'll deal damage to that target, but on top of that, you'll also restore your shields. And with points in Bastion, this will restore all your shields as well as provide other benefits. Charge can also be used as a combo detonator, meaning that if a target has been primed through your allies or one of your own abilities, then you can activate a combo depending on what it's been primed with. In the Krogan Vanguard's case, you can only prime people through Nova if you put points into Seismic Nova. What I personally prefer to do, take some sort of consumable ammo like Incendiary Tech or Cryo ammo. Charge works really well in synergy with melee attacks for the Krogan Vanguard, meaning that you'll charge a target, get that damage resistance as well as restore any shields you've lost. You also get that 30% bonus to your melee attack from the charge, after which you just headbutt as many people as you can, or if there are multiple people around you, do a quick jump and then hold melee for an AoE ground pound attack. The next ability available to the Krogan Vanguard is Fortify, a wonderful turn on, turn off ability that once active will grant the user damage resistance. You can tell when it's active thanks to the shiny overcoat that your character will have. The way the damage resistance is worked out is that while active, every 100 points of damage resistance you gain will cut the damage taken in half up to a certain point. And with the way it's spec'd at the moment, Fortify will give you about 70 damage resistance. However, if you combine this with say Bastion in the charge tree, you can get well over 100 damage resistance after you charged. But anyway, Fortify also grants you the benefit of increasing your weapon accuracy and stability, but also more importantly, your melee damage while it's active. The major downside of Fortify though, is that it reduces your movement speed. But considering you have charge, you can easily get to A to B quite quickly. One side tip for Fortify is that if you do go down, then Fortify will be automatically turned off, so don't forget to turn it back on. Also, if you really need to get somewhere quick, you can turn Fortify off to give you some extra speed. But to be honest, with the Krogan Vanguard, it's not really needed. The third and final ability available to the Krogan Vanguard is Nova. Once used, the Krogan Vanguard will channel energy into a point-blank, high-damage explosion around them. This biotic damage is fairly decent too. On top of that, it staggers weaker foes, giving you a respite. But on top of that, it provides you with a few seconds of invincibility frames. This happens during the actual cast animation of the ability. This can be used to save yourself from dangerous situations, or be used in tandem with melee attacks and charge to provide yourself with even more survivability. Whilst Nova's damage in this spec won't be as high as say your melee attacks or your jump melee, it's still nice. If you don't like melee attacks at all, then maxing out Nova may be an option. One tip with Nova is that if you cast it mid-air, then you'll start to descend straight away, hitting anyone who's underneath you. Next with the passives, Apex Training. This grants a balanced increase to both your weapons and powers. However, the way I have it at the moment focuses more on power and melee damage more than weaponry. Then finally with the Rage passive, which to be honest is probably the key passive. As I already mentioned, it's changed slightly since the game launched, as you no longer need purely melee kills to activate Rage. You can simply get any kills via any method to trigger it, as long as the kills are within 10 meters of you, so they need to be close range kills. Once you've managed to activate Rage, red veins will show out on the player's HUD. Once active though, you'll get an extra 15 damage resistance, your melee damage will be increased, you'll be granted health regeneration whilst Rage is active, potentially restoring all of your health. The only downside is that Rage does not last forever. By default it lasts 15 seconds, although it should be longer with the way I spec the Krogan Vanguard. However, as long as you can keep getting close range kills, which shouldn't be a problem with melee focused classes, you can keep Rage active and thus keep all of them bonuses going. Rage combined with Fortify, combined with Charged, and combined with the invincibility frames that Nova could potentially provide you, means that the Krogan Vanguard is one of the strongest characters when it comes to survivability. When it comes to offense too as well, remember that your melee is your strongest weapon. Also, don't be afraid to use the jump melee attack with this build. Although it doesn't look like a headbutt, it's still classed as a melee attack, and thus you can do AoE melee attacks around you. These also receive the benefits of Rage, so keep that in mind when playing this class. Of course, the downsides of being a melee character are probably well known to most Mass Effect players. be cautious of charging into overcrowded areas, and be very careful when it comes to insta-kill foes like Ascendants, Hydras, and Fiends. Try to complement your weaknesses through weaponry, so try to take a long range weapon, but I would also still advise taking a close range weapon, especially one that can have some sort of melee bonus on it, like a shotgun. As a whole, the Krogan Vanguard comes with some of the highest health in the game, although their shields are a little bit lackluster. However, their Krogan Headbutt, their melee attack, is one of the strongest in the game. That being said though, they are fairly slow moving, and in the Krogan Vanguard's case made worse thanks to Fortify, and they are not the best when it comes to jumping or remaining airborne. Now, if you don't have a rank 10 level 20 Krogan Vanguard, then I would still advise firstly maxing out Charge up to Bastion, and then maxing out the Rage tree. Afterwards, it's a case of focusing on the Fortify talent, followed by Apex training, and then finally any points left go into Nova. Of course, if you don't like the melee build, then it might be wise to focus more on Nova, but the Krogan Vanguard is so much more proficient at using melee attacks than most of the other Vanguard classes in the game that it does feel the optimal build for him. Overall, the Krogan Vanguard, like I said, is one of the highest survivability classes in the game. Not only that, he is also one of the more powerful melee classes, especially given recent changes to both the melee system and the Krogan passives. Being able to charge headlong into almost any foe and still be able to stay alive at the end of it can be very useful, especially for a team who likes to roam around the map. If you're with a team who doesn't like to roam, who likes to hunker down, then be considerate of them and try to cover their flanks or for when they get attacked by close combat oriented opponents. But as long as you can get the hang of your survivability mechanics like Charge or Nova when your shields go, melee attack as many enemies as you can. If you can't get that close to them, try to follow that up with weaponry. Just try to always activate and keep Rage going as much as possible. All of these combined make a great class that can easily take on the harder difficulties in the game. Anyway, I hope you find this guide helpful, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you another Mass Effect Andromeda Multiplayer class video to the Krogan Vanguard. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.